right, folks, believe it or not, an Ohio professor has won $400,000 after suing his university over the academic institution's demand that he use a student's preferred pronouns. A lawsuit was filed in 2018 and was dismissed by a federal judge, but just last month the ruling was overturned. Earlier today, that professor named Nicholas Merriweather spoke to Newsmax's National Report. Here's part of what he had to say.
We need to be able to discuss and debate, and we shouldn't be requiring people to endorse ideologies that they don't agree with. And that was what was happening to me.
Quote from the lawsuit, Merriweather asked university officials for more details about the new pronoun policy. And the officials confirmed that professors would be disciplined if they refused to use a pronoun that reflects a student's self-asserted gender identity. Now, also take a look at this story. Harvard University has banned a feminist philosopher named Dr Buckley. She was scheduled to speak at the university after finding out that she is against biological men competing against women in sports. An English department coordinator pointed out that Buckley is a member of the Women's Liberation Front feminist organization, which has taken a stand on how women athletes are being erased by transgender competition. Buckley wasn't even scheduled to talk about the subject. She was scheduled to talk about British romanticism, totally unrelated. So the point I'm making here is she wasn't allowed to speak. All right, let's bring in Erin, Perini, and Tony Katz to talk about these things. I mean, Erin, I'll start with you. The craziness, I mean, we can start first with the pronouns, having to call somebody. That's considering the newness of this world, of this frontier, it sounds like he was punished a little too much.
He certainly was.
Until he eventually won, until he won.
Yes, and the court absolutely decided this appropriately, and we've seen that here. But apparently what the woke mob forgets is the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and what we call freedom of speech. You can't force him to have to do anything. I think that professor said it eloquently himself about not being forced to espouse an ideology he doesn't believe in and espouse that. And that's what the woke mob wants to do here, is force people and grind them down and put as heavy a foot on them until they break and bend to their will and their narrative. And it's reflective of what you saw at Harvard. She wasn't even going to speak about transgender athletes playing in sports. No. She was talking about British romanticism, and instead she gets canceled and silenced because she doesn't fit the woke narrative. It's what they want to do on Twitter. It's what they want to do in elections. It's what they want to do in courts on the woke left. But what we are doing here and what we're seeing is the right action, especially by the court in case when it comes to that professor.
Tony?
There's actually a little bit more here, because the student came to the professor and said, I identify as X and I use this name. He was willing to use the name. He just wasn't willing to use the pronouns, and he said, my religion simply won't allow that. The student then demanded it and went to the university, and that's how he got the reprimand in his file, and that's how the lawsuit came to be. So follow that the student demanded that because the student made a decision, everybody else has to live with that decision. That's such a big part of this story. People making these wild demands that you must now change how you are, how you act, how you live, how you do, how you speak because of decisions that I made. In the case of Harvard, well, I guess they hate more than Asians now. They also hate women. Women aren't allowed to speak. Oh, yes, they hate Asians. They don't allow Asians into the school. They have too many Asians. It's despicable bigotry that Harvard is absolutely guilty of. You can quote me, feel free, knock yourself out. I think we've proven this time and time and time again. One man's take here. The hatred of women from women because they want to recognize that women are not men and men are not women is stunning stuff, and it continues to amaze.
Yeah,
Tony.
My wife is not allowed to use the term boys and girls. She teaches elementary school.
Yes, she is. Tell her I said it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I assume she may be breaking the rule. I don't know. I don't want her to lose her job.
Well, she shouldn't even have to fear that, right?
Exactly, but in this day and age, let me tell you another trick they do. My daughters are at another school in high school, and they were given one of those CRT-type questionnaires in which they were asked, this is among the questions, do you think Asian people are smart? That's a no-win, right? If you say yes, you're racist. If you say no, you're racist. And it's like, this is the kind of thing they're doing in schools now. And I would rather they talk about math and English skills and that sort of thing. But this is where we are. By the way, Devin Buckley, the woman, Dr. Buckley, did issue a response to Harvard canceling her. At the end of her reply to them, she said, "This is another instance of an elite university punishing someone who questions fashionable far-left dogma. Unfortunately, my sense of reality and justice do not align with woke gender doctrine. I find it morally offensive to allow rapists, murderers, and otherwise violent men to declare themselves female and be imprisoned with women. Evidently, Harvard finds my objection morally offensive." But I wanted to get to this point. Her final thing is she says, "For my part, I'd rather," move up here, "I'd rather be damned with the romantics and Plato than go to woke heaven with Erin and the Harvard faculty." Woke heaven. I think we're going to have to use that.
Not this Erin.
Honestly,
that wasn't me.
Have
who
you
said
met
that.
the woke
That's just
people?
So we're clear.
Right. Different Erin. Different Erin. But,
yes, but if you've
woke,
met the woke people, you realize that's probably pretty far from heaven.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like their image of woke heaven. Their woke heaven.
It's that romanticism of it, right? The idea that this is going to be some utopia when everybody becomes woke and all bleeds into the same ideology, which is that we're all bad people and this is a bad country. Wokeism is just about undermining the values of this nation. It's not about empowering anybody.